Islam, Salam, Wadu. But this is about a different subject matter. Just to show and prove what I call language of dirty water. Language meaning the tongue you speak. And if the tongue you speak is of dirty water, then the language is of dirty water. And so we want to examine English to see, is it a language of dirty water? And what we mean by dirty water means that it does three things. It does three things. And these three things, and these three things are to determine if there's any form of dirtiness at play, any form of dirty play. Number 9, there be 3 injuries. The first injury being the law. So the first injury to determine if any language is of dirty law, of dirty water, is to examine its law. And so as a Sufyan, we know the great law. And that great law is Allah's law as divine law, which is go by the name Sufi law. So it's, let's say, on our side, on the examiner side, there's 2 things we want to pay attention to. These 2 things we want to see: does English break divine law? Does English as a language break divine law? And does English as a language break natural law? If we are breaking any of these 2 laws, then the second applies. The second injury applies. The second injury is the victim. Anytime you injure a law, you have injured a victim. And once you have injured a victim by injuring a law, then the third injury is certainty. There's a certainty that you have violated the victim by violating the law, and therefore guilty. So in order to see if English language is guilty, we have to put it under the language of color and the language of falsehood. So we want to see, do English, and I bring the highest, greatest knowledge for us to see with full published proof to know this exists. All right, so we're going to start just with English. By 16th century, coming out the canons, top level knowledge. Canon 5415. By the 16th century CE, the English crown. Okay, so now we got English as a crown. English crown. English crown in the Vatican. So is that what Queen Elizabeth is called? That people over there, is that the English crown? And the Vatican, is that them Roman boys, Vatican? Along with their Venetian and Magyar overlords. Is that the who we say, the Jews? So it says by the 16th century, English, Vatican, and the Jews, Venetian Magyar overlords. That's the correct name for Jews, Venetian, the Magyars. Overlords had unlawfully stolen the words holy and holy, or Hali, and the symbols of the Sufyan. That's their way of writing Sufyan in the older form, let's just say Islam in Irish. Sufyan is called Qualion. So a Qualion for themselves, while comprehensively obliterating all history of the title and their appearance. So that's a flag already. That's an injury to law. They stole sacred words, and we know sacred words to be divine. So they stole divine words and symbols of the Sufyans for themselves, while comprehensively, meaning they wasn't ignorant in what they was doing, comprehensively obliterating all history of the title and the Sufyan's importance. This is why you never heard of a Sufyan. But as we keep moving forward, we're going to have English, the language that most speak in the land of America, and the English is growing all around the world. I see all type of people, nationalities speaking English. Don't you? All right. Canon 5423. Now, bear with me. I'm going to get to the point. I'm not going to drag this out. But we got to understand, we got to see and hear these things so we can understand some things you just need to know. You might not know in consistency or fullness of what they're saying, but your brain will put it together. You done heard enough and been in live for long enough for you to realize certain things. And if not, you can always email koscommunity@gmail.com. Let's continue. From the 16th century, Canon 5423, the English crown and other European powers chose to steal the word chief and use it to denote heads and leaders of indigenous tribes under their control. So we already know $5 Indians, anything under the European powers control. So let's keep all that in mind. Upon the creation of the false kingdom of Ireland by 1542. So at least we know we got a mark of 1492. So this is 1542. Irish chiefs were forced to give up their sacred titles. This is the Islam in Ireland. To give up their sacred titles and become slaves. That's what feudal vassals mean. Slaves to English. Listen to the nationality. Listen to the nationalism. English lords, or face what? Extermination and loss of what little property they had left. So these English boys been on the run trying to play with toys. Here come in 1948, listen. The title of chief was temporarily restored in Ireland to restore the terrible wrong of English crown. That's 1948. Temporarily restored. However, due to deliberate abuse by several English-sponsored families, catch that nationalism. Nationalism is capitalism. English-sponsored families, the Irish government chose to abandon the title of chief in 2003. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. We're going to get to, Parens Patriae. We need to know about this. Parens Patriae. Canon 5540. Parens Patriae. Check this concept out, y'all. This is what the English boys, listen. Parens Patriae, this is your first time hearing this, is a form of political claim founded in the 15th century through the Roman cult, let's say Pope, the Roman cult Pope Bull Aeterni Regis of 1455, So this is before 1492. So this is what helps the excursion of 1492 to our land called America. So in 1455, they was given something called Parens Patriae, which is a form of political claim of 1455 by the Roman Pope, whereby sovereigns and their governments who hold power through loyalty to the Roman court, loyalty to the Roman court, when in Rome doing Rome, loyal to Roman court are granted the right to claim to be the parent over those men the Roman court are granted the right to claim to be the parent. This is where you get the word parens, like parental guidance. Parent over those. That's why you got to watch words and how they use magic on words. Islam is against magic for these sole purposes of how people have been tricked through words and symbols. So the Roman cult are granted the right to claim to be the parent over what? Over those men, women, and children within. Men, women, and children within their jurisdiction, not yours, their jurisdiction, and treat them both as infants and property. So if you all heard that you are part of a group called the minority, that is these people playing Parens Patriae. Parens Patriae, as you see, is to claim control to be the parent of all parents to all human beings within their jurisdiction, and to treat them as infants and property, which will make them less than human beings and even less than animals. So that is a violation to divine law. Guilty as charged. If you want, you can, screenshot, study it for later. I'm going over strictly what's highlighted. By Canon 5544, by the 16th century CE, and the reforms, what they said, what they use now, they use some jail reform, public reform, incarceration reform, prisoner reform. These things still exist. These are English words. Check this out. By the 16th century CE, the reforms instituted under the English crown, and have you heard of this word? Common law. Common law system. The common law system is under the English crown, and the English crown is playing parent. So the Parens Patriae, aka the parent, was refined to being, I'm going to say, the illegal parent, or let's say the dirty parent, because this is the language of the dirty water. The Parens Patriae, the dirty parent, was refined to being a reserved power of the crown as guardian over the poor, guardian over the sick, and guardian over the mentally ill. However, this refinement in no way reduced the crown's ability to do what? To claim absolute control over any subject if required, regardless of proof of competence. This is what common law was doing. Early 16th century. So they've been pushing and pushing. And they moved something called the divine right of kings. The Canon 5554, the doctrine of divine right was repudiated during the English Civil War of 1688 through the 89, and the official motto of Deus et Mondriot was no longer permitted to be used until George I, 1714-1727. So on the move, democracy, president. These are words for divine, for they saying divine rule of kings. George Washington, president, king, connected Dollar bill. God is money. Money is their God. I shall improve if we need. Now, as we come forth to Canon 5724, from the 16th century CE, all democratic models, when they say voting season, right? I say vote for Allah for president 2024. You seen the video, click on the Sufas. All our videos are Sufas. Click on the Sufa and get your game and then understand. We voting with our mouth Allah for president. Now, from 16th century, all democratic models. So now we know Republican, Democratic. All democratic models of society have included the symbols of the Roman authority of fasces. All democratic models of society have included symbols of Rome, the Rome authority of fasces. So they're using symbols to declare their authority without telling the people that these symbols mean that they rule over the people as the parent, the dirty parent. Totalitarian, totalitarian theocratic government in complete contradiction to its intended purpose. So they running a totalitarian government for a complete rule and complete theocratic rulership over all human beings on the planet under the English crown. Do you agree with that? Guilty is charged as injury to divine law. As a result, societies that have invoked the strongest democratic values, such as the English Empire, the French Empire, and later the American Empire, which speaks English, not French, have all demonstrated a complete immersion, a complete diving in the swimming pool in facet symbols, and a totalitarian executive. So a whole, what they call it, democratic executiveship full of totalitarianism, despite the existence of elections and the right to vote. See how they create these words to throw our people off from studying these words. See, once we know what these words mean by, are they pointing to divine law and natural law, or are these no laws at all? Just opinions of men who want the control over all the human beings in the world. So now you need to know church. Church come from the word Ku Klux. Yep, just like the word KKK. So the term Ku Klux in ancient Greek mean wheel, rotation, self-contained process, or cycle. In the 8th century, the Carolingians established the Ecclesia Catholicus, in Latin, meaning Universal Catholic Church. Is where you get to come up of what you call the Catholic Church, Catholicism. In the 12th century, the Venetian Magyar, who was the Venetian Magyar? The Khazar. The Khazar corrupted the term Ku Klux to Kirkos in ancient Greek, which means binding ring, a hidden predator in the form of a wolf. Wolf in sheep clothing. Hawk or falcon. By the 16th century, the word church was created in English from Kirkos. See, so that's not even a nigger creation. So as we see, Canon 6004, in the 16th century, the Jesuits constructed several new words in English, including Judaism. See, did you hear who constructed? The Jesuits. They constructed several new words in English, the tongue we speaking now, including Judaism, including Jew, to describe the Khazar diaspora populations practicing a wide variety of beliefs. Practicing a wide, straight is the gate and narrow is the way. They practice the wide gate, the broad way a variety of beliefs and contradictory claims and formed a new cohesive religion known as Judaism. To restore Judaism and the worship of the Septuaginta. The Septuaginta as the Tanakh with Lucifer as the supreme leader of all Jews. That's why I tell you, you're not Jews. Now you know why. You heard it from the document perspective. Yeah, so you can see more on that yourself. We just want to know where these words Manasseh or Menes come from. Manasseh. So the word Manasseh is a 3rd century CE word derived from Persian words manes, meaning laws of righteous and correct behavior of mind and spirit, from the English word manners. Manners is ultimately derived and Shah meaning ruler, king. Hence the literal meaning of Manasseh is laws of the king, or simply sacred law. See how they moving from divine law, stealing all these things. This is in 3rd century. Canon. Now let's go to the Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon, also known as Anglese, is a law form and is a Catholic law form, also known as sacred law or sacred law and Carolingian law. So English is Carolingian law and it's Catholic law. So is the form of sovereign territorial law, sovereign law, noble law, land law, property law, and society law. Anglese law form was first introduced by Charles Martel, aka the Hammer, of the Franks in the 8th century. This is who they say stopped the Sufis. Charles Martel. So I ain't gonna get into that part. Corruption. In the 8th century, in a new language called Angolese, later known as English. And English is Old French. I wonder y'all hear nature. If y'all hear that, that's nature. That's creation. But we continue. English comes from Angolese. Angolese is a Catholic law form or the Carolingian law of the Catholic society. Back to the Pope. So now we just learned English is Old French and it comes from Angolese, which is Anglo-Saxon. So now Angolese, now known as French and English. So now Angolese is known as French and English, is a language commissioned by Charles Martel and invented by the Venerable Bede and a large body of scholars in the 8th century as the official language of the Carolingian Empire. Prior to the 8th century, neither Angolese nor English existed. So look, in 2024, and we speaking English didn't even exist during the time of the Sufis. 610. So the Sufis is 7th century. And 8th century, English didn't even exist. So this is the language of dirty water. Guilty as charged. Canon 6154. During the 13th century under Edward I, the Venetians and Roman court began a process of changing the pronunciation of Angolese in England into the harder sounds of the traditional Khazar native tongue. The dirties. the dirty waters, native tongue, away from the traditional soft sounds of Angolese, still represented in French. Voila. By the 16th century, this process was completed with a massive influx of new words in English through the Jesuit created Shakespearean portfolio constructed at the Jesuit College of English. Constructed at the Jesuit College of English, at which William Shakespeare himself was briefly in attendance in Rome. So now you see why Shakespeare come with the English language and why Shakespeare's name is in the Bible. So now we go coded in the Bible. So now Canon 63:38 as the 13th century privatized court system of Westminster, created by the Venetians with the English and Roman code, deliberately corrupted the original right for equal summary of defense through plenus into the unequal system. This is where we at, through into an unequal system whereby defense was no longer afforded equal right at the introduction of controversy. Such willful corruption and injury of the law, didn't we just speak of that? That go corruption and injury of the law, therefore renders any and all subsequent court rulings, orders, sentences invalid, illegal, unlawful, and null and void ab initio from the beginning. None of this exists. All of this is dirty water. This is not divine law. And Islam is divine law. I don't know what the Catholic Church is doing with this English language representing the English crown. But Islam is not English. Canon 63:67 as the Magna Carta, also called the Great Charter. Look all this stuff up. Google it. The Magna Carta, and this is what Jay-Z named his album after. The Magna Carta, 444. So pay game. And you see he using English words as Jehovah, J, all these things. Just pay close attention to how truth matches with truth. But lies you can never find, they match. So as the Magna Carta, the Great Charter of English monarchs prior to Henry VIII, have been wholly corrupted, including the deliberate corruption of the system of law and statutes of the realm. All claim laws, ordinances, charters, and grants claim to still have any force or effect before the time of Henry VIII are therefore invalid, illegal, unlawful, having no force or effect of law, and null and void ab initio from the beginning. So the Great Charter, the Magna Carta don't even exist, y'all. We have been played with the sound of words. Capitulum. So let's get into a little cap. When we say no cap. Cap, that comes from a capitulum. A capitulum or a capitula or cap. When we say no cap, this is where you mean it. For sure is a Latin term used in law in the 8th century by the Carolingians to describe ordinances that were debated and passed by a parliamentary body. So we are not even using it in the right sense. So Canon 63:71, following the decline of the Carolingian Empire. When did they start declining? By the start of the 10th century. The use of the word cap or capitulum fell into decline until its resurrection under the Venetians and English in the 13th century under Edward I of England, 1272 to 1307. For subsequent ordinances, Each ordinance passed during a session of parliament, parliament, that's English form of government, parliament, usually corresponding to a year of the reign of the monarch, were then issued in Roman numeral order as Cap 1, Cap 2. There we go. 5 with it. Tax. The claim, Canon 6390. The claim that tax and taxes, or tax and tax us, are derivatives of the Roman Latin description of the poisonous yew tree, is a complete fraud, as the word for poison used by the Romans to describe the yew was toxa, from which the word toxic in English is derived. Poison. Toxic. Now they want to say black men are toxic. Black families are toxic. Black woman is toxic. Black children are toxic. You see? All these are word spells. And since we don't have no time for study, we busy caught up in job, work, play, and stay away from reading and searching the knowledge of self and words you have heard. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. Islam, my nigga. We got each other. So as we see, these are some people that you understand associate with the English. The Pisans, the Venetians, the Basque, the Sicilians, the Gascons, and English mercenaries succeeded in capturing significant islands. That's Atlantis, Ionian Islands, what they call ancient Greece, including Kefalonica, Costa, California, and Zakynthos. And we're going to dip from there. You see it. You can do your further research and study. But right now, we own it right now. So right now, as we move forward, we're going to see everything go in and go forward. Now, Canon 6443. The Jesuits were then granted the English hospice as the first seminary and education college in history as the Collegium Angelicus, or College of English. The college was reconstructed in 1579 as the Pontifical Collegio Inglese, the Pontifical College of English. That's all Catholic taught and Roman Christian theology. As it said, theocratic models. These are theocratic models to rule over the entire human population while keeping the entire human population away from Islam, and bring you under their claimed sovereignty. But we see their sovereignty, everything is under their sovereignty within their jurisdiction, and they treat everything in their jurisdiction that's not of them as infants and property. You've seen it for yourself. So as we continue, all this was pushed down our throats. So Othello, all this was pushed down our throats. So as you see, within the great universe, a series of colleges was either formed or reconstructed for most major languages and regions of people from 1579, including English. In 1579, it was reconstituted. And so you see languages for Germany, Hungarian, Greek, Polish, Scottish, Irish, Belgium, French, South America, North America, 1859. They pushing all this down the human population throat, all in these areas. The G7 boys, look them up if you don't know what I'm saying. These are people that has done the sorcery. See what I'm saying? Thomas, also known as Thomas the More, Thomas the Sorcerer, the son of Niccolo Morosini, to the English court. See, so these are the dirty Moors that we're speaking about, because these dirty Moors practice sorcery. Sorcery is practicing black magic. Black magic is calling people black. All right, let's keep going. When you call people black, that means they are infants and property. So now we see another highlight. This first publication in French and English was in 1560. So now that's the Geneva Bible. So now, if you ever heard, let's read. Contrary to the claims that the Geneva Bible used the bibliography That is the original name of the Bible. Officially published by Constantine. That's who officially wrote the original Bible of 326, Constantine. In the unholy 1st century CE Septuaginta. Septuaginta is the priest of Mithra. This is why you see Mithraic priest. Look up the word Mithra and put the word Etymon beside it, Etymon. And you will see this is the language of dirty people. This is the language of dirty waters, where they sign or have you sign contracts. And when you sign a contract, it's an oath to their God, because the contract is in their words. Now, let's read Canon 6482. When the Venetians ensured the Protestant Bibles were based on, while the Venetians ensured the Protestant Bibles, this is where you get all these different Bibles from, were based on updated versions of the Vulgate merged with a unified doctrine of the Khazar, the bad boys. Oh yeah, this is what we're talking about. Manasseh diaspora to create Judaism in the 16th century. The Vulgate was also substantially updated to create new Catholic Bibles, such as the Douay-Rheims Bible in English of 1582. See, all these was manipulated so they could subjugate our power by us believing in their God, aka theocratic, democratic models. So the word company, you want to start a business, you want to start a company? Well, this is where it comes from. The first use of company was the pledge of Spanish, Basque, English, and Sicilian mercenaries. So mercenaries used the word company in the 12th century to service the Pisa, that's the Venetians, as the Catalonian company. The Catalan company, or the Catalan company. See, so all these things was not our creation. These are English creations of the 8th century. Of the 12th century. They didn't even exist in the 8th century. We got tons of more. So this is what our prophet Noble Drew Ali is speaking on with the dirty Moors. These are the dirty Moors who came and used this God thing. And we're going to show you, and you're going to see for yourself through document proof of existence. In 1553 CE, don't y'all see how they got all this documented, and the nerve? And then they didn't never let you know? Okay, this is why I'm here to let you know. Islam, my nigga. The English and Venetians responded by sending his nephew Giovanni. Heard these words? Giovanni, also known as John the Slaughterer, or Jonas Nex, or John Knox, and a mercenary army to Switzerland to save themselves from the Venetian English. The population turned on Calvin, killing him, his brother, his entire leadership, then opened the gates. So as you see, it comes with violence, terribleness, betraying, turning on, and we cannot be stuck with this language. But don't worry, I got the door. I got the opening is open to the door. The door is open. The opening is opening is my saying. My personal saying. The opening is open. Now we see the phrase protest anti-circe, which renders Protestant church in English, has several distinct and purposeful meanings since its creation by the Venetians, who originated the Protestant movement. Bam, English Crown, Magna Charta, all still what we're talking about. Dirty law, dirty water, guilty as charged. Article 149, original writ. Original writ is a type of preemptory procedure and an ecclesiastical indulgence based on the 13th century corruption of the 8th century sacred rite, Holy Writ, modeled under the Carolingian rule and introduced through English law, whereby an authorized agency of the monarch was granted powers to issue writs to other lesser agents on behalf of the crown Behalf of the crown. What the crown associate with? English. The English crown. To perform or seize some act or attend some place and answer some claim or controversy. English law. The English had continued to grow in the favor of the Venetians after both John and then Henry had provided contract military to Venice, Italy, under the command of Dave Montfort, Lord High Stewards, in their commercial wars. Commercial isn't business. Commercial wars, holy wars, corporate wars on the people is commercial wars, and they are benefiting like crazy behind our ignorance against the French, and most notably the bloody genocide of southern France, otherwise known as the Cathar Crusades. Yes, that was a bloody time, and its people on the earth today still reigning as a bloodline from that of these evil sorcerers, and they trying to put all this sorcery on the entire people, and especially the land of America. So we're going to expose their guiltiness. Canon 6584. Anything guilty of divine law, you do not have to follow. You do not have to follow anything that is breaking or injuring divine law. That will make you yourself guilty, no matter what opinion you hear. Canon 6584. All valid writs issued under the Roman and English franchise system. There you go. Writs issued under the Roman and English. Then they said it like a business franchise. They got a franchise system of law retained the original 8th century purpose of being sacred documents and therefore an ecclesiastical indulgence. Now this is how they set up all their religions under the premise of ecclesiastical law. So ecclesiastical law is inferior to divine law. So once you got Islam is covered all in divine law and natural law. And if you break any of these two laws, it is already null and void from the beginning, ab initio, without standing of law or no legal effect. So this is just real talk. Therefore, it has remained an ancient maxim since 13th century being, no writ, no right, whereby a proceeding without a valid writ has no basis in Roman or English, parentheses, English, Western law, Western hemisphere. In American law, the original writ is known as an original bill or true bill. Look it up. That's how they make money. You don't think bills, you pay bills every day for a reason? This is all fiction and this is all fake. It's just due to our stupid understanding of English, and English not being our heritage or inheritable language. We speak a pure language called Sufyan, which is the language of purity, which would be the next, drop after this. So after we expose English, now we can get back to saying our sanctity. Canon 6589, the Curia Regis, aka the King's Bench or King's Bank. Bench mean bank. So, you got to know that from Jordan Maxwell. Had possessed since 13th century the right under English law to appoint one or more agents under validly signed and sealed warrants. So this is where all this come into play. Here warrants, got your name on paper, say I'm on papers, I'm on probation. This all come from English crown, which is not your inheritance. Allah is not English. That's why you do not hear English people say Allah. You hear English people say what? God. And they God is, as you've seen, Lucifer, the leader of the Jews. So Freemasonry, Canon 6632. Freemasonry is a system of sovereign, independent, and subsidiary fraternal associations sharing a common system of occult rites and occult practices. You won't even know what you're doing. Sign here. Just sign here. That means that. That means that. You can sign here. You just signed it. Agree to these terms. They make it long so you don't read it. Agree. See, but as long as you don't know this knowledge, they have you in every contract. Once you know this knowledge, you can exit every contract immediately. Invented at the commencement, Freemasonry invented at the commencement of the 17th century. It's not even older than the Al Sufyan. By King James I of England. So there go your King James Bible. Your King James Bible. Why that is the most known Bible in the land of America is because King James started Freemasonry. In 1603, 1625. That's a fact because everybody taught the King James in 1611. King James I of England of Freemasonry form a synthesis of the English Rosicrucian movement and the Venetians Kabbalah, the Hermetic movement. So that's when you're gonna see we're gonna get into that. I got pulled up. I still got it pulled up right here. The 7 Hermetic principles. We're gonna get in that. See, these are all fake. These are not and will not have any association with divine law. That's why you don't see divine law in the Kabbalah. You hear higher laws, lower laws. They'll never tell you this truth that a real nigga releasing to you, because it's Islam, Sufyan. All day, every day, Allah got us. As we see. Now we finna get to the big, that with Freemasonry. Now we're going with the G that's inside of the compass and the square. I showed you earlier. It said our 3 great lights was the Holy Bible, the compass, and the square. All right. Canon 6640. Number 2, the G. The G in the middle represents the literal name of God as a word introduced into the English language. See, God is not even an English word. Hold on 1 second. I got my yeah, I make my own music too, so I had to put back on. Okay, so now that we got to the G literally represents the literal name of God as a word introduced into the English language. So if God is not original in the English language, where did they get the word God from? The word God came from the late 16th century to replace the original Persian word of God, G-A-D. So G-A-D, just like A came before O, G-A-D was the original word, and that came from Persian. The Persian. So you telling me the Persians and the English are friends, the Venetians, the Magyars, the Khazars. They use this word God. So in Persian, what did this word God mean? As the common name of the Lord of the underworld of Arian and Manichaean religion. And so if y'all don't know, that's Satan. Matter of fact, let me find the proof so you'll see it for yourself. The G. They'll tell you right there, the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry is a direct copy of the all-seeing eye of Lucifer as the savior from the Judean Roman Empire from 71 CE to 117 CE. That was the symbol of the superior general of the Jesuits, as both the supreme secret head of all Freemasonry and as the personification of the office of Lucifer. So there go what your G stands for, God, Lucifer. So y'all better stop playing with it and come over here with Allah and stop worshiping these false gods. Let's read this one just in case it ain't highlighted though. Last one, number 5, that say V. The verbum domini, or the master's words, said to have been spoken by Hiram Abiff, is also the secret name of the Lord of the underworld, according to Arian and Mani's religion of Persia, being the secret name of Satan, which is Sabaoth. Sabaoth. The 7th oath. So there you have it. Look at all that importance you wouldn't have got nowhere else. People think God is talking about the creator of good. No, these people have corrupted. When you say English, when you speak in English and you say God, you talking about Lucifer. This is how English is designed. Lucifer, real name, his secret name of Satan is Sabaoth. Sabaoth, or Saboath. See, this is what they call Thoth. Is Sabaoth. These are all tricksters giving you a fakery. Okay, so now we're going to the English. Matter of fact, while we're there, we're gonna go into the Hermetic, since now we know the Hermetic is part of the Persians. So the Persians use this thing called Kabbalah, which is a Hermetic movement. So all Hermetic is related to Kabbalah or Kabbalah. So these people created these philosophies and put them out in large print because they have all the money stolen from the people on the land and produced these to keep people programmed to be zombies. Literally walking zombies. Now I'm gonna show you the 7 let's say this the 7 laws of dirty water. These are not universal laws. These are laws written by men that wants to control the world by making the people stupid, by making people literally dummies so they can rule over them as smarties. But we don't like dumbs. That's why we use wise, because we know the whiz dumb. So y'all can stay dumb, we gonna be wise, and y'all can stay where y'all at. The 7 Hermetic principles. The first principle is called the principle of mentalism. This is a fake law, a false law. The all is mind and the universe is mental. This is what they use the first law to trick your ass. It's the first law they use to trick your ass. They'll send you a belief. You see, it's called mentalism. Something to go in your mental mind to make your ass start thinking that this shit is right. Falsehood. The language of dirty water. And you heard me just say some cuss words, and I need you to reflect. Cuss words are not dirty water. Dirty water is anything that violates divine and natural law. Anything injury to law. And I'm going to go in on the next Sufa on the language of purity. That cuss words protects our purity from the evil or trickster or the devil or Sabaoth or the Venetians or the Jews or the Freemasonry or the secret society or God. GAD. So now you're going to have the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. You did the crime, you do the time. This principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between laws and phenomena of the various planes of being and life. So they use this to trick you. Oh, you said you needed this, so you got it. No. This is what you have to pay attention to. They tell you one thing on the mind, then they do something different on the physical. That's not correspondence. They want you to be as above, so below, but them, they could be as below and not above. So they'll pump fake one way and then go another way. See, so this is how they pump fake you with the law of correspondence. This are these crooked, I call them aliens. These alien gods. The alien god. Alien GAD. Y'all know that alien god. These is not Allah. Allah ain't never made nothing called the 7 laws. Now, the next one they call the principle of vibration. Y'all hear this? Vibration? This is another lie. This is just to keep you in they damn circus, moving around, thinking everything vibrates. Moving all around, thinking everything vibrates. The only thing true is nothing rests. Everything else is dead. Everything that moves don't stay alive all the time. So let's be understood now. And so next is the principle of polarity. The principle of polarity, this is how they shake you from one side, then shake you to the other side. Use happiness on one side, then use fear on the other side. So these things to pull you one way against your way is called a principle of polarity. The next principle, the 5th principle of the lie, is the principle of rhythm. Yeah, matter of fact, we're going to call these 7 principles L7. These for the squares and the lanes. The L7 law. The L7 fakery. Or like me and my brother Artbar was saying, falsification. The L7 laws of falsification. And I just added that to us. So, we good. So now the principle of rhythm. The principle of rhythm. Everything, well, I ain't gonna even say it, but rhythm. Rhyming, rhythm, all these are L7s to keep you into the circus. Keep you in the motion. You do this, you get that back. You give this, you get that, you receive that back. Then you got the 6th law, the principle of cause and effect. Another fake law. They say every cause has its effect, but they ain't tell you what the true cause is, which is the truth. So you see, there's no knowledge of divine law, no knowledge of divine truth, no law of wisdom, no law of knowledge, but these other laws. So you already know it ain't giving you nothing but, and I read this and applied these things and it didn't benefit me entirely. It's a waste of time when you know the good stuff. This is bad stuff. The last principle is the principle of gender or transgender. This is why you see transgenders or gender crazy going around, because the trickster, L7, the square and lanes, aka the Jews, or the Jesuit God, the Sabaoth God, the Oath God, Mithra, got people turning men into women, women into men. This is because of the principle of gender. And so now we just went over the fake 7 laws called the 7 Hermetic principles. So stay away from these. Just know them in your head and watch for yourself. This is Hermetic philosophy, and we know Hermetic philosophy is blah blah, babble. All right, Article 161, English. Canon 6642. English is a late 15th century artificially formed phonological language created by Dutch and Venetian language and printing experts at the Palace of Westminster, with the authority of King Henry VII, Tudor. I know you done seen them shows, the Tudor of England, 1457-1509, for commercial. So English, let's restart, is a late 15th century artificially formed phonological language So this language called English that you hear me speaking and that other people speak on the land of America is a artificially formed speaking language created by who? Created by the Dutch and the Venetian. The English and the Persians. The Jesuits, the Jews, the Persians, the Magyars, the Khazars, the Venetians. All this was created by the Dutch and the Venetian language and printing experts. And what English was created for. Now we know what it's created by. What was it created for? For commercial and political purposes. Political means strategy. Politics, strategy. So for commercial and political purposes in introducing a unified language for the island of Britain and reduce the long-term influence of Gaelic, Norse, and Angolese, falsely listed as Old French. So now you see why a lot of people of other nations speak English and you ain't learning no other language. These people just over here just speaking all the, and then go back to their little tongue and all that. But all that's finna start because we finna produce our own. We already have our own language existing since 7th century and before with the Torah law and all that. But now we got it all recollected. And now we're going to be bringing that forth on the next Sufa. So we got to get the language of the dirty water and show they are guilty by charge, just not through my words, but through my proof. I'm bringing the proof to show to you what it is instead of what it's not. So again, English is created for the purpose of commercial, making money, and for political purposes, making money, and introducing a unified language. Created by the Dutch, you know the blunts, you get Dutch masters, and the Venetian language. These are your Jews, your Khazars. Yes. Venetian, Piscean. When they say the Piscean age, that's the age that's passed with all this garbage of fake theocratic models of fake worship of words that don't even mean a thing, and we just found out the highest word that English people have is God, and that refers back to Satan. So fuck them at the end of the day. And you should feel the same way I feel for being lied to and have this pressed upon you. Your family accused of going to jail if they don't send you to school when you say you didn't want to go back to school because they teaching you this stuff that you don't know and they forcing this stuff on you. As a child, remember as infants, they ain't have nothing. Infants couldn't protect themselves or say anything, but now we them same infants. We can read, write, and speak now. So it's time. And we can bring forth back our treasures. So now we're going to go a little bit further. I ain't going to go through all of it, but just a little bit further. Canon 6643. The artificial creation of the English language at the end of the 15th century and through major stages of the 16th century coincides with the invention of mass-produced books through the invention of movable typesetting and the printing press. So you heard all that. You can take that back for your own study. Screenshot that, read it on your own for the own study. But yeah, this is what they doing. So you got English merchants. So when you hear the Sufyan talk about merchants, these are these English and Persians working together. And so it say, with Dutch and Venetian assistance, the English language was first formed and put into print by combining the dialect and phonology of Frisian, including 4,500 of the most common Frisian words, 2,000 of the most common Gaelic words, 1,000 of the most common Norse words, 2,500 of the formal proper nouns and the most common words of Anglicé, Old French, 800 Latin terms. Anglicé already containing many Latin words and approximately 1,200 Basque words to form a base language of around 12,000 words, of which approximately 40% were multiple words describing the same general concept, object, or function. Guilty as charged. Dirty language. This is why black folks ain't got nowhere speaking the code, speaking the English code. Now we see why. Proof shown. Most of these words you could say mean the same thing, and now we see. Now that was then 1477. Now 2024, do y'all know, if you look it up, it's over 1 million words in English now? I did my research, you do yours, and tell me what you find. Email me at koscommunity@gmail.com. So now you see nothing but a large amount. You can just keep reading these. Like I said, new English language in over 1 million copies. You see what I'm saying? So in the excess of 400 books and over 800 editions in English and over 2 million copies, many with illustration focusing on key specialty subjects including languages, religious text, science, reference, and commerce. A unique feature of the introduction of the dictionary of the artificially AI created language called English was the extensive use, or devilish was the extensive use of what was to become known as school books and education of how to read, write, and spell the language, which was sold cheaply. Played our ass. Dealing with this English, we done lost all. That's why I had to go broke for this shit. We had lost our way due to this English. It wiped out our memory. It's like a virus itself. By 1600, an estimated 12.4% of the population were literate and numerate in English. Around 500,000 people, almost 5 times the number 100 years earlier. Wow. Upon Queen Elizabeth I ascending the throne, the new Act of Supremacy was passed in 1559, claiming her to be the supreme head of the church as well as the state. Queen Elizabeth of English to be head of the church as well as the state, English. So this is why black folks ain't got nowhere, because black folks speak English, and when you speak English, that means you're the property of an English person, an English ruler, an English queen, or English king, or English president. Of the works claimed to Shakespeare, but written by the fraternity of the Jesuit College of English. I go to Persians in Rome, comprising of some 884,000 words, containing 34,896 lines, and spoken of by 1,211 characters. Look at that. 33% were histories of immense and unprecedented historical research, fakeness. 32% were comedies, fakeness. 29% were tragedies, evil. 4% were poems. 2% were sonnets. Oh man, I mean, they weren't hardly including nothing. They wanted these people that speak English to be very, very dumb so they could rule over them. Mission accomplished, look like. It says this was achieved mainly through the combination of Latin words, as abbreviations to create new English words, but also through the introduction of ancient Persian words, as well as even Hebrew and ancient Greek words. Now, don't your English language consist of all that? So it's not a pure language. So guilty is charged that it's a dirty language. Anything pure only has one ingredient. So many languages is not one ingredient. So guilty is charged. So now last one says the deliberate modification of English to being not only a commercial language, but the primary language of occult knowledge. But the primary language of hidden knowledge. Of magic knowledge. The primary language of magic. The primary language of occult magic. I done broke that down. If I need to, holler back, I'll get to it. But the primary language of occult knowledge. Occult magic. I'm going to read that one more time for myself. The deliberate modification of English to being not only a commercial language, but the primary language of occult magic and usage was confirmed by the massive undertaking in the creation of the authorized version of the Bible, also known as the King James Version or the KJV or the KJV. A further 1,000 words was introduced into the English language out of the approximately 8,000 words formed used in the text. Most significantly, the use of the Persian word God, G-O-D, the Persian word God, G-O-D, the Persian word G-A-D, God, used the Persian word God as the public name for Sabaoth, the seventh oath, the Saba oath, also known as Satan. Also known as what? Satan. Him down there. Satan, him down there. God was the public name for Satan and was introduced. God was introduced to replace YHWH, to place Yahuwah of the Catholic Church since the 8th century as the primary deity worship, making Satan the primary deity worship in English by calling on God. To replace Jehovah, well, they say Jehovah, so that show you right again, playing. They'll never play, they'll never give you the truth. Introduced to replace Jehovah of the Catholic Church since the 18th century as the primary deity worship, making the Church of England English the Reformed Persian religion of Judaism. So when you hear me say Jews and Christians are the same, or Christianity is the same, this is why. Because they call on different names for the same thing, and they are one and the same. So those cloaking themselves as Muslims, Christians, and Jews are, as we see, the Englishmen. Making the Church of England the Reformed Persian religion. That is the devil worship. Devil worship religion of Menesha. We went over that. Later known as Judaism. Sad, ain't it? Very sad. So we're going to go a little bit over the alphabet, then we're going to close it down because the evidence has been proven into Allah's law. Canon 6645, a unique feature introduced into English through the heavy occulted design of the King James Bible from 1611 was the creation of certain ideographic words whereby the shape and design of the word conveys meaning into a primary alphabetic language called English. This was reserved for words beginning and ending with the same letter, signifying the first letter and the last letter, symbolizing an ancient primary symbol. Now we're going to go into what we learned as the alphabet. Sing along. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, that was the word spelled. The occult magic on our ass. And now we reversing the magic through wisdom. That's how you reverse magic, is through wisdom. Now, they were creating certain ideals that got graphics called letters, whereby the shape and design conveys some type of meaning. A is A, B is B. These reserved was words for the beginning. This was reserved for words beginning and ending with the same letter. All right. The letter A used as an ideogram at the beginning and the end of a word symbolizes, this is in English, symbolizes the ancient Egyptian, ancient Phoenician hieroglyph. Hieroglyph of an ox head and the sign of Baal. Baal. Hence, its use literally symbolizes an object. Hence, its use, the letter A symbolizes an object, one quality, or one concept bound. So a letter bounds, circumscribes. And as you know, if you've been studying in the Sufis, Allah cannot be circumscribed. The thoughts of Allah cannot be bound. So what are you talking about with symbols and objects? These are graphics, these are forms, these are creations. So anything creation start with the B, Baal. Bound to Baal such as abstentia, academia, algebra, anathema, animalia, apologia, aqua, Arcadia, area, aria, aroma, argula, Asia, and Atlanta. Wow. There we go. Now we know why Atlanta is popping and why all the gay stuff is happening out of Atlanta and more right now. Because we know now, we understand. Now, the letter C, used as an ideogram at the beginning and the end of a word, symbolizes the ancient Egyptian and Phoenician hieroglyph of a mouth and speech. That's the letter C. Hence, it is usually literally symbolizes the real voice, meaning or speech about an object and quality or concept, inverted or hidden in plain sight. The letter C, such as caustic, chaotic, chick, chronic, cleric, clinic, colic, comic, copacetic, and cryptic. The letter D, used as an ideogram at the beginning and end of a word, symbolizes the ancient Egyptian and Phoenician hieroglyph of a door. Hence it uses literal symbols as object, quality, or concept between two doors, or moving between two doors, such as dad, dead, deed, defend, demand, dread, dude, dud, and died. See, so when they write these letters, this is what they meaning. The letter E, used as an ideogram at the beginning and end of the word, symbolizes the ancient Egyptian and Phoenician. So as you see, they getting all this from the hieroglyphs and they reconstructing their own meaning. Hence, it uses literally symbolizes an object, quality, or concept between two windows or moving between two windows, such as ease, eagle, educate, eerie, eat, elevate, elite, elope, elude, emancipate, encourage, innovate, entendre, enterprise, entice, enumerate, enunciate, envelope, epicure, epilogue, epistle, equable, eradicate, erudite, escape, estate, estimate, evade, evase, everyone, evidence, events, eviscerate, evocative, evoke, evolve, you in that way, exercise, exculpate, execrable, executive, expatriate, expatriate, expiate, expose, expurgate, extirpate, and extricate. So all those. Letter H, used as an ideogram at the beginning and end of the word, symbolizes the ancient Egyptian and Phoenician hieroglyph of a fence or an enclosure, symbolizing an object, quality, or concept. H, owned, enclosed, or in custody, such as harsh, have, health, high, hitch, hunch, hush, hutch. The letters R and P, used as an ideogram at the beginning and end of the word, symbolizes the ancient Egyptian and Phoenician hieroglyph of a head. This is R and P, symbolizing an object, quality, or concept possessed by a head, such as pump, poop, pop, prep, prop, pulp, pup, rapier, razor, reader, riller, reaper, rear, remainder, reminder, retainder, rider, riser, river, river, roar, ruler, rumor, and runner. Interesting. The letter S, used as an ideogram at the beginning and the end of a word, symbolizes the ancient Egyptian and Phoenician hieroglyph of a snake, mostly or commonly associated with magic, curses, spells, symbolizing an object, quality, or concept associated with magic, or its effects, such as sadness, sagacious, salacious, sedulous, sebaceous, selfless, serious, salacious, sorceress, soulless, specious, stasis, statistics, stiffness, stress, sumptuous, supercilious, superfluous, superstitious, superpositious, super repetitious, and Swiss. I see, I hear him now. The letter T and X, used as an ideogram at the beginning and end of the word, symbolizes the ancient Egyptian and Phoenician hieroglyph of a mark or sign most commonly associated with a sacred agreement. They say X mark the spot, a sign here, X. Sacred agreement or pledge. The X symbolizes the mark of Osiris in ancient Egyptian mythology, symbolizing an object, quality, or concept bound to a sacred pledge, such as talent, tarot, taunt, teat, tempt, tenant, tent, terrorist, therapist, tent, toast, torrent, tort, tournament, tourniquet, tout, traitor, treat, trinket, trident, trinket, trumpet, trust. So we're gonna stop there. We're gonna stop there with the proof. of the dirty language. Guilty as charged. English is not original. Every letter is almost coming from another language, so it's not even pure, making it dirty, not clean water. So the video been long enough. Enjoy the Sufa. Hope you learned a lot. Donate if you like. Cash App is $KOS Endowments. ENDOWNMENTS. And so, peace and love, but not in English. We're going to give the greetings of peace and love in the new video, so we'll know through the language of purity. Islam, Sufyan.